Welcome to the Startup Support Surgery podcast, where we light the entrepreneurial spark in medics and healthcare professionals. Join me, Dr. Jo Watkins, GP, business coach and co-founder of The How People, on a journey to discover where your medical know-how meets the business world. This will help you find some clarity on how to balance work, passions and family so that you can gain more freedom and control over your life, but also continue to help people, which is actually why most of us went into medicine to start with. Embarking on this entrepreneurial adventure is not easy. It is a roller coaster of emotions, but it's hugely rewarding and exciting in the process. Drawing on my 20 years of blending medicine and business as a GP, I am here to share experiences, insights and lessons. Expect lively chats, expert interviews and real-life stories from medics who have taken their own path. Let's break free from traditional healthcare norms and explore more innovative ways of making a real difference to people's health and well-being, along with paving the way for a brighter future for us as healthcare professionals. Oh, don't miss my free PDF called From Stethoscope to Startup, which is an 11-page guide in the show notes full of practical help and advice. This is your roadmap to kickstarting your journey with us. Enjoy the show. Today on the podcast, I'm chatting with the incredible Portia Gibson. Portia has been a registered nurse for 30 years. She's a senior ED sister, a lead educator, and is now a resus practitioner. She's mum of 2 teenage daughters and loves being outside, usually covered in mud and laughing. She's an infectiously funny human and quite regularly joins our Zoom calls on horseback or shoveling out the stables. Portia is founder of Post-Op Nurse, which supports patients through their surgical journey, providing end-to-end care, enabling them to recover confidently, safely, and be well informed. She's absolutely brilliant, so let's dive in and chat with her. Hi Portia, welcome to the show.
Hi Jo, thanks so much for having me. This is super exciting.
I know, I'm really thrilled you're here. So tell me a little bit about you now, and then we'll turn the clock back and have a chat about how you've got here. So tell us about what you do now.
So what I do now is I am a resus practitioner in the NHS part-time, and I run my post-op nurse service. And I do that to, right now, I've created a new package and I see people end to end. So I speak, and it's virtual now. So this is amazing. So I speak to them before their surgery, work out what they're worried about, what their fears and anxieties are. And then I follow them up post-op virtually, depending on the package, but like twice. And then they have unlimited WhatsApp to me and I guide them through that once they're home, what they're feeling and talk through their clinical problems. We discuss their pain, their exercises, make sure there's no kind of signs of infection, that kind of thing. And that I kind of buffer them until they get their outpatient's appointment, because I think they're really vulnerable in that first 2 weeks. So that's what I'm doing right now. And when I say hip and knee patients, I'm seeing hip and knee patients because they see the surgeon and the surgeon's like, hey, you'll be walking. And it's true, but it's a bit of a long road. Orthopedic surgery, recovering from joint surgery. So I'm not sure that the patients really appreciate quite how demanding the recovery is. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. Yeah. And it's unimaginably rewarding. Yeah.
Oh, I'm just so thrilled to hear that, because it really has been a proper journey, hasn't it? And I want to sort of dig into all of that and how you've come to be doing exactly what you're doing now. So talk to me about this time last year, because I think when we first met, you'd already founded Post-Op Nurse, because I remember looking, you already had a website, you had some very beautiful photos, but something wasn't working. Can you remember that time? Can you tell me about what was going on then?
Yeah, so I think I was working in ED and I was like, oh gosh, I know I can do more. I can do something different, but I don't know what it is. And I'm not a square peg in a round hole, but I knew I had more to give. And I just was like, maybe couple it with the menopause. I don't know, but I just felt like I need to shed this shell and try something different. So I set up the website, and then I got like a consultant who wanted to buy into my services, and that was awesome. But that dried up, and then I had no idea where to go. So I kind of just told myself that I didn't really need it anymore and that my NHS job was perfect. And that wasn't true, but I was just scared. I didn't know what to do. So then my other passion is supporting nursing students, and I teach at the university. And so I thought, right, I'll do clinical supervision for them. But that got kiboshed by the university. They were like, no way, we provide everything for our students. And the hospital was like, no way. So I thought, right, I'll go back to postdoc nurse and work out what I need to do. And bizarrely, my friend had been to the British Lifestyle Medicine conference, heard your talk, came home, and she's like, oh my God, I've met this lady Jo, she's amazing, we need to sign up. And she gave me this bright pink postcard with a QR code on. I thought, what's a QR code? And I scanned it and ended up joining your free kind of, oh, they were so early, they were like 6 o'clock in the morning over a weekend, and signing up to your have a chat about this marketing course. And I remember just running around my house in this highly flammable dressing gown, trying to find a credit card to pay for it, thinking, this is exactly what I need. I didn't know that I needed it, but what I needed was somebody to hold my hand, somebody to guide me through, but somebody who understood medicine. That was crucial. I didn't want somebody who'd come from, working with Red Bull or Sky or whatever, who knows the corporate world. So that a year ago, I was just faffing in the wind. I was completely rudderless, and overwhelmed, totally overwhelmed. I had no idea of how to do anything. And people would say, like, "Oh, are you working full time now on it?" And I'd be like, "No. How would I get these people? This takes time." So that's a long answer, isn't it, to a short question?
No, I mean, I think you've covered lots and lots of different things there. And I think I can just picture you in ED wanting to do something different, wanting to take a different path, wanting to sort of, there's almost like this something there that needed igniting. And then you do the hard thing, actually going out and saying to people, oh, I've done I've done a website, I've called myself this, I'm looking for clients. And then this feeling of like, oh, well, actually, how am I going to do this? Where are they going to come from? Actually, I did like my day job. It's fine. I'll just go back to that. And actually, nobody will ask me any more questions. And you kind of bury your head and hope. And you don't really. And I think people get to that point, and also that just feeling like in some way it hasn't worked. People say to me, I've got all these things, but it's not working. And I always liken it to sitting inside your house, creating something amazing, and then opening the front door and expecting people to rush in and buy it. And it just doesn't work like that. We kind of flipped that on its head, didn't we? And actually we didn't change anything of the outside of your business, but what changed was your mindset plus the way you were delivering.
Yeah, and what massively changed is I didn't realize, I'm like, oh my God, now I'm offering advice and support on surgical stuff, like, but I'm an ED nurse, and like we don't operate that often in EDs, in A&E. So like, but I hadn't appreciated I was sitting on this mountain of knowledge. And I've worked in loads of different trusts in London and in Sussex. I've worked in New Zealand, and I didn't really appreciate how much kind of knowledge and skills that I had. And you can work and you can wobble a bit, right? Because there's no competency to sign you off, and there's no kind of there's no algorithm. I love an algorithm, but there's no algorithm. So it was really, really tricky. So, oh my God, I found you. I became a disciple, and for those who are listening, you won't regret it. You won't regret it. I will reimburse you.
I love the idea of you running around in a flammable dressing gown. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But
you're the only one who does like that.
The wobbles are completely normal, and like you say, there's no certificates. There's no somebody telling you that you're ready for the next stage. Nobody's going to come and tell you how great you did at something. You're going to fail, and for me, particularly medics, healthcare professionals, people that have followed a clear path really struggle with the risk that is involved. And it's more and more I realize how much I'm supporting medics and healthcare professionals to become purpose-driven entrepreneurs and develop that entrepreneurial risk-taking mindset. And so many people liken it to doing lots of little scientific experiments. People are like, well, this hasn't worked. It's like, well, okay, let's go back to the drawing board, make a couple of little changes, and let's go again and see whether that has any better impact. Because at the end of the day, we have to focus on this, the solution that we are offering to a problem. And the problem that you have found is that people are coming out, going into their operations scared, vulnerable, not well enough informed as to how the
definitely
process is going to go, and they're potentially bouncing back into hospital, having a longer recovery. So the problem that you are solving is very clear. Now, you've talked about hip and knee. Talk me through that process. Why not all surgery?
So obviously my first thought was like, well, I'll do everything to everyone. I'll do wound care. I'll take catheters out. I'll go and do, injections. I'll mop up what the district nurses can't do. But like, duh, how is anyone going to find me? Because what do? Well, I do something and everything, and that's dreadful. That's a dreadful approach. So the niche thing, who knew that was a thing? You did. And I really do now. So I started to look and see, what could I offer real support to? And it just seemed like this seemed like a cohort. Also, the demographic of where I lived, because I started off doing home visits, just face to face, and soon realised that wasn't really very scalable. So there are lots of hips and knees being done where I am, and I thought actually I can really, really get clear on what a hip and knee patient needs. And that means that I can become like a micro expert from a nursing perspective in that. And my job is not to know what the surgeon does, because I'm not a surgeon and a surgeon's not a nurse. So my job is to work with the surgeon to echo what their kind of progress protocols are. And by me being like not scattergun, but really kind of focused, it means I can just talk with real confidence and passion about it. So that has been amazing. And I can see in so many businesses how they are not niched and why they don't work. They're just not clear. You don't know what they are. So yeah, that was and then that means you repel people, right? It means that some people don't like you. It means that you miss out on some business, and so be it. But it also doesn't, I don't know that it means necessarily that I then can't see other patients, because have been following up people after aortic valve replacements. Somebody's had some cerebral coiling and aneurysms stuff done. And I actually supported somebody recently through some health screening because they were anxious about it. So it doesn't mean that you can't do other things and explore it. But yeah, that's why I realize you can't be something to everyone, because that's nothing.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
that's my take.
And I think, especially at the beginning of our journey, that this is the way to get traction and to get those first customers into your world, and to help those people, and to really clarify the benefits that you're giving them, is to be really, really niche and specific. And people always come back and they say, well, somebody like, Amy Porterfield does this, or Tony Robbins does this. And these big people with these huge audiences, they can help whoever they want to. They can do anything they want to, because they have a massive audience. But us, mere mortals entering into this entrepreneurial world, the more specific we can be and become, like you say, a micro expert. I love that phrase. It has two benefits for you. One is you're very clear on the people that you help, and you will be, people will refer word of mouth. The way that you've started locally and now grown online, I'd like to come back and talk about that as well. But also the second benefit I see, Portia, is actually within the orthopedic surgical world, because actually orthopedic surgeons will want to work with you because of this micro expertise. So it's very clear to them that you're the person that could help support their patients, and the better their patients do, the better it is for them ultimately. And the patients know that you can benefit them. But you can we go back to that local thing? Because tell us about that time when, you had, I'm always telling people, remember that your conversion. So for anyone not with the link, I try not to use too much lingo, but the conversion rate would be, you have a Zoom room of 100 people, and maybe 2 to 4% of those people might be interested in the product that you have to offer. Tell us about your in-person event recently, Portia.
Oh yeah. So okay. So this is like my palms are sweating just at the prospect of this, and I'm not shy of talking. But one of the things that you've taught us very clearly is just to get out and try. You will not know how something goes if you do not try it. So get over your ego, give it a go, and you can improve. But you can't improve on something that you haven't done. So I booked a local village hall in Ferring. I'm in West Sussex, and I put up a poster, and I thought, right, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to do a free talk on how to recover safely and confidently from surgery. And I've created a framework which happens to spell the word cares. So now it's post-op nurse cares, which is gold. Um, and that framework has come from me taking people's feedback and analysing it and looking at so not what I thought patients needed, but what the patients say they needed. And that's really important to look at the service from their perspective rather than just my lens. So I gave my first talk. I had 7 people there, 4 of whom were prospective patients. I got a 75% conversion rate for my comprehensive package, which I was just like blown away by. So I had 3 people there and then sign up for this package of care where I speak to them before, I speak to them twice after, unlimited WhatsApp. I've guided 2 of them through their surgery. One guy's had a bit of a delay, blood sugars and the like. But the dialogue between us has just been so rich and so gorgeous. And they can just ring me and say, what do you think about this? And I'm like, yeah, we'll do this, this, and this. And so now I'm running with that. So I'm now running that monthly, and I'm looking forward to the next one on September the 2nd. And then I'm going to expand. And the temptation is to listen to lots of, gurus, Daniel Priestley, and think, wow, you've got to get known, but slowly catch your monkey. So
Yeah.
I'm building this. This is working. We'll see how the next ones go. And interestingly, I had a consultant ring me the other day about a patient, and I'm like, how do you know about me? He said, oh, I've been watching you quietly in the background. And I thought, yeah, okay, that's really wonderful, because I did email him a year ago. I've heard nothing. And then it's all about being in the right place at the right time. Sometimes it's not the right time, like having a boyfriend that theoretically could have been a husband, but you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. So
Yeah, completely. You get and that's a great analogy, because people need to be in this just right. So
yeah, yeah,
Gemma Gilbert calls it the Goldilocks, and it is that, the porridge being too hot or too
yes,
cold. And you can find people are too early in the process, they're just not ready to
yes,
make that change, or
yeah,
people are just beyond, not beyond help, but it's just too late. So yeah, you've got to be in that magical point. But it's very unusual for somebody to find you, know you, trust you, and like you enough to do all of that in that framework. So if you are already somebody that's in their world, you're already receiving a newsletter or following them on social media or having some interaction with them, or you have done at some point. I have people coming to me now who I connected with a year ago, and they just weren't ready. And that's that. You have to show up. And I think this social media, people often come thinking that they need to do all the things on social media. And I think, I try and strip down social media and make sure that people don't overinvest in it, because if you're just posting on social media and you don't know what you're doing and you don't know who you're trying to attract, then it's basically a complete waste of time. But if you're specific and you know the audience that you want to attract, and you are, as you said, repelling other people, the best businesses are businesses where you look at it and you're like, actually, that I don't need that. It's like, great, they're obviously really clear on what they do need.
yeah.
Because you're not supposed to want everything. And then if you can get those people who are going to be part of your world to then be able to put their hand up and say, actually, I am interested in finding out more, and then keep in touch with them, then when they're ready, they will get in touch with you, and you will be front of mind.
And I think it's really important. I agree with everything you've just said. It's really important not to assume what people do or don't want, will or won't pay for, will or won't respond to, because I'm not in their shoes. And, so when I say, actually, this is done virtually, So even though you all live within a 20-mile radius, but actually I'm going to do this over the phone for the reasons that I can illustrate. And that took what made me feel uncomfortable, but I thought I'm going to say it. And they all went, yeah, that's awesome. Great. And then somebody said, oh, can we do it via Messenger? And someone was WhatsApp. And I was like, fantastic. So there's another bit of feedback that I can take and listen. And now from that, I feel like now I can offer another tier of support for people who want more input. And I had never imagined that in the first place. I never have been very limiting in my beliefs about what would work based on no knowledge whatsoever, just fear. It was just fear, really,
Yeah.
of the unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you messaged me recently from your holiday, and you've got two
Oh,
teenage
yeah.
daughters, and this zest for life and everything. Do you see this as something that you can continue doing while you're maybe doing a bit of traveling the other end of children?
Oh my days. I mean, like, give me a vision board and I want to vomit on it. It makes me feel uncomfortable. It's too woo-woo, but I have got two behind me. So, but um I just didn't believe that it was possible. But one of my ladies with her knee, and I said, look, I'm going to be on holiday, but I'm phoning you. So it doesn't matter where I'm phoning you from. So I happened to be in Denmark and I phoned her. We were in a quiet, confidential space, and I gave her the same support and attention that I would have done if I was in the UK or 10 minutes from her house. And that for me was amazing, amazing for me to be able to be away from home and deliver good quality care. And amazing for her to know that my plans didn't interrupt her recovery. So, can I see that happening? Hell yes. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because then I think, oh, there's patients who. What about you know, oh, you could go on forever, couldn't you? But what about the expat community or people who come to the UK for specialist surgeons? And there's loads and loads and loads of opportunities out there, and it's just opening yourself to them, trying them, and then kind of thinking it over, allowing yourself time to think it over. I think underestimated that reflection and how important that is.
Yeah.
So yeah, in answer, defo.
Brilliant. And I think we all, we've been institutionalized within the NHS, and the
Oh,
NHS, and it's a wonderful institution that does amazing things. And the last thing I am doing is trying to persuade people to leave the NHS. But what I do believe as a practicing clinician is that people want choice now. And a little
yeah,
bit like the education system, we haven't moved with the times. There are lots of
yeah,
other ways of supporting people other than sticking them on a waiting list to see a consultant in 2 years' time. And we should be thinking much more broadly, and we are limited with what we can do. So I think you're right about the cost, the pricing, the judgment. I now more than ever say to my patients, look, these are the choices. There are other things available, and it's not out of people's price brackets. We're not talking
yeah,
about clinicians here sitting wanting to make their millions. We're talking about genuine, heartfelt experts in their field who want to make a difference and help people
yeah, yeah.
like we set out to do to start with, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you see those confines and frustrations, it's like, oh my gosh, why are we so linear? But I'm not bashing the NHS. I love it. I'm very proud to be part of it. Um, but there are other ways to skin the cat. And it's just those sort of bureaucratic hoops. And so being able to do that on your own and actually carve out a path and be like, oh my God, I'm driving to a patient. Oh my God, I'm driving to another hospital to have a conversation about the service that I provide. Here's my feedback. Is really just like, oh, I feel all snazzy. And that's great. And that is testament to you, Joe, because of the support that you have offered has been unwavering, unrelenting, and you are like a rat up a drain pipe. You are immediately there for us. I'm part of this amazing community, and when we wobble, which we all do, you all just leap in like that amazing bendy bamboo and support us all. And then but yeah, it's just amazing, and I wouldn't have been able to do that on my
I'm loving the analogies: rat up a drain pipe, bendy bamboo. I'm loving them.
own.
What about the impact on your day job? Do you find you turn up in work in a different way?
So Yes, I found when I was doing it along my ED work, I just felt that I just wasn't giving my patients the time and attention. I wasn't listening properly. I was assuming that I was dismissive slightly, if I may be so honest, to be like, yeah, 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 yeah. That you'll be fine kind of thing. Because I didn't feel I had the time and the resources to. Now in my resus role, it's different because of the nature of the job, but I'd also, no, I feel like I just feel like I can learn a lot. I can learn a lot from the NHS, and bring that into my practice as well. So it works well, and it gives me structure. I'm a better person with structure. If you give me 7 days off, I won't do anything until the last day. So going to work gives me structure, and it gives me a purpose. It gives me another purpose, because sometimes it's not great. Sometimes I can't get through to patients or consultants. And I want to make a difference. I do. I know it's a naff saying, but I do actually, get a kick from being basically an angel. So
Yeah, absolutely. So I am going to ask everybody at the end of every interview. I want you to think about somebody who's maybe a medic, maybe a nurse, maybe a physio, maybe has had ideas mulling around for a while, doesn't really know where to start. Or maybe you back before this all began. Like, what would be your sort of three pieces of advice to your, yet to be entrepreneurial medical self?
well, that's really interesting, because when I give that some thought, why does everything come out with the letter P? Is my first
I know.
question.
Love peace.
That's weird. Portia, post-op nurse, something in it. So my first thing is that you have to trust the process. Okay, you have to trust the process. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot to navigate, but you have to trust the process. You have to believe that you're there for the reason, and you have to sort of lean into the discomfort in the same, along with staying in your lane. A bit like, if you start discussing the names of your children with someone else, they're like, oh no, God, I went to school with a boy called George. That was awful. And you're like, oh, I quite like George. So I think trusting the process and trusting yourself and staying in your lane, and like, I know where I want to get to, and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to ride the storm. I can feel some nautical things coming in here, but you be the captain of your own ship. I'm going to ride the storm, and you'll get to your destination. The other thing is people. Like, it's so important to be with people who are in your zone at that time. You don't go to a mother and baby group with a 2-year old with a bunch of new mothers. You're not on the same page. And my husband has been amazing, the wonderful Lewis, but he's not doing this. He's doing a PhD, and I can't relate to what he's doing. So having people who can relate to where you're at within an almost, I'd say, 6 month, not even as much as a 6 month window. I'd be like somebody who's a little bit ahead of us, a little bit behind. So the people, and they can buffer you. I've had some kind of ugly moments where I felt a bit jealous of other people, and bit, like me, not so attractive, but I felt comfortable to say I'm having a tough time, and they've just been so, so, so supportive, even just by being quietly supportive, and that's the scaffolding. Um, so not feeling alone is really important with the right people, and the right people. So just to go back, the importance of them being in health, understanding health, not from a corporate setting or from a outdoor pursuits, although I would like that because I do like being outside. But they and post-it notes. So my other thing is about post-it notes, right? I love a post-it note. I'm a bit tight, so I tend to buy the ones that don't stick, which is a mistake. So the point about post-it note is, when you're coming up with all these ideas, your head is whirring, and it's really, really full. And investing in some post-it notes is a thing of joy, because you can get these thoughts out of your head. I know it's a bit old school to write things down, but it works for me. And slap them on a wall, and then you can move them around into an order that makes sense. But I think getting it down and out of your head is so important. I know that with you, we've done a lot of journaling. That also made me feel a bit queasy, but oh my gosh, I hate to say it, that's possibly been one of the best practices I've ever done. That has been utter game changer. It gives you clarity. It makes you stop feeling so derailed. It sort of settles down the overwhelm, gives you headspace. So that is my holy trinity of people, post-it notes, and process.
Portia, people, post-it notes, process. I love that. It has been a total honour and pleasure to just have you in my life, basically. I'm not quite sure how I didn't have Portia in my life before. So, and to
I feel
watch
the same, Jo.
but to watch you and what you are doing and the help you are giving people just warms the cockles of my heart. So how do people get in touch with you? And I want this to be, patients and surgeons, because we might have some orthopedic surgeons listening to this. We might have some people who know orthopedic surgeons. And I think, it would be amazing, wouldn't it, if you could have people reach out to you from both ends. So how do people get in touch with you? We're going to link it all in the show notes below.
Don't be shy, orthopods, and give it a try. Give me a call. You can find me on LinkedIn, Portia Gibson, post-op nurse. You can find me on Facebook. Guess what? It's the same, post-op nurse. And you can phone me. I like a chat. And I'm really interested in discussing different ways I can work with different people. So patients can email me, info@postopnurse.co.uk. You can let's talk about what your specific needs are, and how we can come to an arrangement so that you get what you need, so you get the support if you're a patient, or if you're not the patient, if you're the daughter and it's your mum who's having it. That makes me think I need to go to Instagram, but I just can't bring myself to do that yet. So yes, website, LinkedIn, and of course Facebook is how you'll find me. But I really welcome any discussions, any conversations, because the feedback has been great. So I'm really happy to help people. So yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Portia, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so, so much. And I'll see you soon.
Take care. Thank you so much.
I hope this episode has sparked some new ideas or challenged your thinking. Transitioning from medicine to business is not easy. It's about adapting our skills while embracing the unknowns of entrepreneurship. It can be nerve-wracking, but remember, you are not alone on this journey. Please feel free to reach out to me via direct message on LinkedIn or Instagram, or just shoot me an email at jo@bendylegs.com for support. And don't forget to grab the free PDF from the show notes, From Stethoscope to Startup, which is your go-to guide and resource for diving into entrepreneurship. Many thanks for tuning in. I will see you next time. Thanks for spending your precious time with me.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.